the character and fitness portion, because I can easily see an applicant writing some sort of essay about mental illness in a way that might worry the admissions committee in a way. They don't want to have someone dealing with a difficult situation in law school not making it through or worse. So I'm wondering, what are some things that law school applicants might want to disclose? What might they not want to disclose? And of course, what do they need to disclose in order to avoid potential problems later?
Yeah, so for the character and fitness portion of an application, read those carefully because you want to make sure that you're answering them honestly, and you want to err on the side of disclosure, like disclosing what is expected of you. One of the very practical reasons why you want to err on the side of disclosure is because, at the end of the day, an admissions committee is not going to have the time to do a background check on you and make sure like, hey, did you actually get that speeding ticket or not? But when you apply to if you've taken the bar and passed it, in which case, like, congratulations, you then have to apply to join your state bar. And there's a very thorough character and fitness evaluation there. And those committees may ask for your law school application, may compare and contrast, like, what did you disclose? What did you fail to disclose? And so it could be an issue at that point. So err on the side of disclosure, but be specific in terms of the questions you're responding to. So in terms of, say, like a mental illness type situation, that's something to disclose if there's a reason to disclose it. If it's, say, tied to something else that is a requirement to disclose, like, for instance, I worked with an applicant who struggled with addiction and ended up having it triggered a lot of character and fitness questions. It was actually the applicant where I worked with who had the longest character and fitness portion that I've worked with. And because there were a lot of criminal charges that came about as a result of that, a lot of impact to like transcripts and grades. But this was a person who was at a point in life where the applicant was able to tell a redemption story, where the applicant was prepared to go to law school and hit the ground running and be successful because this person had gone through a recovery program, was continuing self-care, was not going to be a concern to an admissions committee now at present, but it was important to disclose those issues because there were a lot of resume gaps or criminal records that we had to share, that we had to disclose. So it made sense to talk about addiction in that context.
That makes a lot of sense. And anything that involved criminal charges, of course, an applicant would be required to disclose.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so the key with an applicant who's in that situation is to focus on the lessons learned, to talk and be clear and transparent about, this is what happened, this is what I was going through, but here's how I've overcome, and here's why I'm going to be successful in law school.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Now, for this applicant, you said their character fitness disclosure was exceptionally long. How long was it approximately?
It depended on the school because you had to tailor it per school depending on the questions. But for some schools, it was several pages. That is an outlier situation. The majority of applicants, you're going to have maybe like one or two small incidences that they need to disclose. And in that case, any addenda, I think a good rule of thumb is you don't want your addenda to overshadow your personal statement. So if you have a 2-page personal statement, ideally your addenda is going to be shorter than that, a half page maybe, because you want the admissions committee to focus their very limited amount of time on your resume, on your really strong letters of recommendation, on your personal statement, on your strengths. And then the addenda or a character fitness response is just to help them to help address any red flags that may occur to them or any issues that may be worrisome that you feel a need to disclose, but it's not the star of your application by any means.
That makes a lot of sense, Michelle. Thanks for that. I love the point you made about you don't want the character fitness to overshadow the other parts of the application. You don't want them to comprise the majority if you can avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the typical applicant who might have some sort of disclosure, maybe it involved underage drinking, maybe it involved possession, maybe it involved speeding tickets, more minor things of that nature. How long might each of those disclosures be on average? A couple hundred words?
Yeah, I like to shoot for like a half page, a couple hundred words, something that can be very clear and concise and pay attention particularly to tone. You don't want to come across as coming up with excuses or whining. It's about, I think the tone you want to go for is accountability, that this is something that happened, but this is the lesson I learned from it. I acknowledge the mistakes I made and it won't happen again.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.